Okay. Hi. So, I, um, my name is Ellen, and I am the person who is making this documentary, working on Happy. I guess I'd like to go into a little bit more about why I'm making this documentary. Um, I think for the past, like, since I got into high school, going to be a senior now. Um, I've struggled with a lot of anxiety about school and just like overwhelming stress. And like transferring from middle school to high school was pretty difficult for me. I didn't have a lot of friends and like I'm pretty shy, so I also think like the sheer amount of people just made it super overwhelming. But in freshman year, I started to hurt myself, and I didn't really open up about it until the middle of junior year. Um, this was because I was really embarrassed about it. Like, to me, even now, my problems, they don't seem like they're that important on the scale compared to other people's problems. Like, I'm relatively normal. I'm smart. I am not disadvantaged really in any way. And yet, for some reason, I felt the need to still hurt myself. And so I just, like, felt guilty and, like, I didn't think that really I didn't think I should be doing it, but not because it was the act itself was wrong, but because I felt like I didn't have enough good enough reason to do it, even though I still continued to do that. Um, and like sometimes school, I started to use grades as a reflection of my self worth. I started putting a lot of effort into school and a lot of effort into my projects. And I kept saying, like, as long as I can get an A in this class or do well in this project, it's like a good reflection of myself, which is not the way to go about things. Uh, and it was because, like, I didn't really feel that I was good enough to be friends with the people I was friends with. Like, I wasn't that funny, outgoing, or, like, bubbly of a person. I'm, I don't know, I was quite the opposite of that. So I just felt that grades were the only way to, I don't know, like, I guess have a good reflection of myself. And then it got to the point where I was using food as like a punisher. I would eat things that I didn't like to eat because I thought, well, if I'm doing badly, then you're not allowed to eat something that's good or nice. In junior year, things got too overwhelming, and I finally came out and started talking about it. I stopped hiding scars, I guess. That like talking about it is a little bit awkward. I especially don't like it when like adults ask me things because I still feel sort of invalidated in my problems. But I started going to therapy and like just realizing that what I was actually like talking about the action of doing it finally made me realize that this is a real problem that needs to be taken care of. Which led me to make this video. I think that while maybe this video won't be so helpful to everyone, it might show people that like people I guess are going through the same thing, if that makes sense. I don't know. I think it's a good idea. It's like it's helpful for me to overcome some of the difficulties that I've dealt with. And also helps other people to just, I don't know, find someone to relate to. So yeah, this is Working on Happy. Hope you like it.
I didn't have one. No, honestly.
Oh, I got a kiss.
Me
Do not
either.
kiss me, Victoria.
Sydney, I didn't.
Ultimately, I don't understand a thing. I try to do the best I can. I know
Hey,
you
gangsters.
try to
How are
do
we
the same.
doing?
We're just so
Fine
bound to make
evening.
mistakes. You could call it a disposition. I apologize for all your tears. I wish I could be different, but I'm still growing up into the one you can call your love. I don't know if I'll ever be enough. I'm throwing in my chips, I guess I tend to push my luck. so cliche to say these things, but repetition is a key. I think I'm better when I'm with you, but I worry when you're gone. I think I need to learn to love myself. I'm lesson to be strong, so for now we'll say goodbye. Although it pains me in my heart, your words, they come to me in memories. They sing to me like songs. It won't be long until I'm here. Soon I'll make my arrival under shady trees, a quiet street, the roads that I have traveled. Ultimately it's a beautiful thing, like flowers blooming in a lonely field. The petals drift through crossing winds that find their way to river streams that scent the water beautifully. It takes me back to you.
So to end off, what are you going to do to make yourself happier in the future?
Jump off a bridge. That should be in like the intro.
It's the most awkward thing I've ever done in my life. Okay. Are you excited?
I am terrified.
Alrighty. So, my first question is are you happy and why or why not? No! Why not? This isn't going as well as I can tell.
I would say that most of the time I'm not, and that sounds really depressing, but I get stressed out really easily, and it's something that sort of feels like it physically weighs me down a lot, and that sort of prevents me from feeling happy, even in times that I'm like, you know, doing fine or okay with what's going on in my life. I still don't really feel like overjoyed by anything that often.
Okay, so I don't know. Your mom's in the back. Why is she looking at me? Should I start? Should I go? I feel like I'm a happy person. I'm not like depressed or anything. What? Okay, well, I'm over here. Interrupt me, Mom. It was getting really deep. No, it wasn't. I don't know. I feel like I'm an overall pretty happy person. I'm not like depressed or anything. But I mean, I feel like especially in this time in my life, almost being a senior and like, I don't know, it's stressful and the stress can lead to unhappiness. But I feel like overall I'm like genuinely happy. When stuff goes bad, I'm sad. But you know, it's just like
Yeah, I understand how for like a lot of people it might be like a little difficult, you know, for a lot of people really difficult to kind of find out whether or not they're happy or what their happiness is. But for me, luckily I haven't had too many problems with mood and stuff, and everything's like, I mean obviously everyone hits bumps, you know, especially during the school year. But for me, I just take everything, rolling with it, and everything's been pretty okay so far.
I'd say I'm pretty happy. I think that I've now realized that I'm successful in a majority of the things that I do, and it's easier for me to build on top of those, although it's also like I still fall into like this pit of despair occasionally, maybe like 3 times a month, where the idea of I get super overwhelmed by everything that I have to do, or like my relationships with people. That's another thing why I realized that like it was time for me to do something about my problems, because it was starting to affect my relationship with my friends, with my parents, like with everything that I did. And I realized that going to college with this is not going to be a good idea. Like I'm going to struggle so much if I don't say anything about this.
Right now, I would say that I'm not happy. I am on medicine for my clinical depression and generalized anxiety disorder, and the medicine has been helping me with anxiety but not depression.
Well, I'm pretty happy at the moment, or at least like I've been happy recently. Like my mental state is usually dependent on like the season and like whether I'm in school or not, and you know what I'm doing. But for the most part of like a whole year, I'm not really that happy.
Dude, this is such a good jam.
Okay. So what are the things that make you happy?
This is also gonna sound like so lame, but honestly just like having free time and things like listening to music, hanging out with people when I don't have something that I should be doing, you know, like when I don't have a responsibility and I'm allowed to like feel more relieved and not feel like I'm, you know, not being responsible by going out with someone.
So when did you start to notice the shift between not having much responsibility, I guess, I don't want to say living like a child, but just sort of like not having the weight of a responsibility, versus now?
Definitely like 7th grade, because that's when I started to be a lot more like emotional and just like that. And you know, now going into my senior year of high school, 7th grade seems like nothing. But when I was a 7th grader, I was like, all of a sudden classes aren't easy for me anymore. I have to put the work in to get the results that I want. And you know, in between that is when I started getting injured, you know, my back injury and stuff, and I had to, you know, quit gymnastics, and that was a rough time period and whatever. So I think it's a lot of it has to do with school, obviously. And then obviously as I get older now, it's been much worse between college, you know, what are you going to do with your life, needing to get a job because you can start to drive, then you need gas money, things like that. It just adds on as you get older. So that's why adulthood is really scary.
My cat, my friends, my girlfriend, family, you know, especially doing stuff with like friends and hobbies, you know, movies, making music, listening to music, stuff like that. It keeps me going.
I like to surround myself with good friends and family, and personally being organized or having some sort of like schedule or something like that, some kind of structure in my life is a good way to keep me stabilized and happy.
I do enjoy some like assets of like school, specifically subjects that I'm interested in and completing those assignments. I enjoy having my friends around me and my girlfriend, and color guard I love going to.
I think for me, happiness comes from like the things I enjoy the most and the people that build me up and make me happy. So like, I don't know, my friends and the people that are close to me definitely like keep me happy because they like boost my confidence and make me feel good. And then like skating, the sport, makes me really happy. And this is gonna sound really weird, but like cleaning makes me really happy.
Actually, I heard that from someone else. They said like cleaning is really therapeutic for them.
No, I love cleaning, and I love when things are nice and neat. It just makes me happy. It just makes me at peace, makes me calm.
There are 4 chemicals that make a person feel happy: endorphins, dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin. So each of these chemicals can be produced by a certain like action, and this is actually really good because this means that we can control how like ways to make us happy. Like if we do those actions knowing that it'll produce those chemicals in our head, it can bring us from a negative state to a positive state. Endorphins are basically pain relievers for your body that your brain produces. So basically that's why exercising and exercising kind of produces some pain in your muscles, and then endorphins will come in and help relieve that pain, making you feel happier, which is why everyone says, oh yeah, you should exercise to make yourself feel better. Serotonin is commonly associated with depression, when actually it is given to people with clinical depression to help relieve that. They're common in antidepressants. Basically, it's a hormone that's essential to long-term happiness. And things that produce serotonin is sunlight and happy thoughts, which are hard to produce, but if you go outside a lot and exercise at the same time, you'll be producing endorphins and serotonin. So the third chemical is dopamine, which most people associate with drugs. It's sort of like, it's kind of like a drug. It's like a very short wave of pure happiness, of like pure joy. You get a rush when you have dopamine. It's the chemical of reward and lets your brain know that you're doing something good. So a lot of things produce dopamine, like getting praised, getting an A on a test, scoring a goal, basically doing anything that would give you short-term happiness, I guess. Even eating produces dopamine. So if you're sad, don't eat a lot, but eat the proper amount. Yes. So the last chemical or hormone is oxytocin. And this is associated with being touched and having close relationships. So it's also produced when a woman is pregnant. But to produce this chemical, you should cuddle with someone, basically. Hug them, touch them in any way. Just you need to be physically close to them. This can work with a pet even. Oxytocin is extremely important when raising a child. There's one experiment with, I think the psychologist's name is Harlow, where they test a monkey and then like the monkey has psychological developments because it doesn't have a mother monkey, it only has like a metal one. But yeah, as a child, if you're not held or like touched enough, then you will have psychological problems later on. It's shown in studies. You still need to be touched and to be held even after you've grown out of being a child. It's very important to your mental health, and yeah, basically, if you can exercise, stay in the sunlight, do things well, and be held, those are all things that would help produce the happiness if you're upset.
Say hi. Hello. Oh, see the duck. Treading water.
So what are the basic elements of achieving happiness?
There are no basic elements to achieve happiness. Everyone has something different, and they shouldn't need to follow rules of how to be happy or follow basic elements.
I guess I would say elements to happiness would be being satisfied with the situation you're in, I guess. As kids, or as teenagers, we have college next year, but I guess we get hit with a lot of work, in school. And I think during the school, there's you get a lot of stress from schoolwork and stuff, but I think once you kind of realize that you're in a school environment in which this is where you live in this town for 2 or 3 more years, and then you're kind of on your own maybe after college, maybe even it's kind of comforting in some way, where it's we only really got 1 more year of environmental stability, kind of knowing that we can be here and we have to go to school every day, and that's a given, or that's a promise that you have to do. So I think just being confident in your situation, because once you lose sight of maybe your goals, I think you can kind of lose your mind a little bit, and that kind of can deter your mood a lot. I also think just making sure you're enjoying what you're doing, because like people say, if you have a job that you love or whatever, you'll never work a day in your life.
I think feeling like you have control of things in your life, or just kind of having a stable period. For me, I feel like that's the first step into really being happy with yourself. If you're kind of all over the place or unorganized, or something bad is happening in your life, then I think it's a lot harder to be happy.
What do you feel that you don't have control over?
I don't have control over a lot of my mental health issues. That's my main problem. And then I don't have control over a lot of stuff going on with high school and college. I feel like sometimes I don't want to go to college, but I kind of have to. And so not having control over those kinds of like stressors for me is upsetting.
But I feel like for everyone it's the same deal. Like the kind of people you surround yourself with can definitely affect your happiness, and like if you're gonna be like a negative person and just think everything's bad, you're gonna be unhappy. But if you have a positive outlook on things, you're gonna be a happier person, definitely.
How do you achieve a positive outlook?
I feel like it's harder for some people than it is for others, but I think it's just mainly like your mindset on things. So like the way you look at things and like the people you surround yourself with, you can't just say like, oh, it's gonna be horrible, I'm gonna fail, you're just gonna be unhappy. But if you think, oh, well, we'll try, we'll have a good time, like you just gotta think positive and you'll probably be happier. I mean, from experience, I guess.
Managing stress levels is probably a big part of that. Having the time to relax as well as having the time to like get things done. Like for me, like sitting on a beach doing nothing all day would be hell. I would not be happy. I prefer to like get something done. Like once I'm out of school, I have this urge to do stuff, so I built like a whole cabinet. Yeah, I built a cabinet to hold my records because I was really bored and I couldn't stand just sitting in the house all day, so I built a cabinet.
Okay, so hopefully I don't look too goofy, but we're trying our best. So the last question that was just discussed was, what are the basic elements to happiness? And I think there are a lot actually, and they're kind of special, like specific to each individual person, but at the same level, most people start to value like similar things that make them happy. And I think one that's often forgotten is to be grateful for what you have. Being grateful for the things that you have can sort of check your negative attitude towards things that you don't have in life. It makes you appreciate the people that are around you, I guess, what's the word? I don't remember. I don't know what the word is. Privileges. Not necessarily privileges, but some of the advantages you have in life, like the fact that you live in a house, or like that you can feed yourself every day. I think being grateful for the basic necessities can help just make happiness seem like less of a struggle to accomplish. Gratitude has been scientifically proven to show like increasing your well-being and state of happiness. Two researchers that investigated this was Dr. Robert Emmons and Dr. Michael E. McCullough. They basically split people into two groups, and the first group wrote what they were thankful for, and the second group wrote about what they didn't like and what they didn't have. While they both wrote for 10 weeks, the first group proved to show more signs of optimism, and also they had fewer doctor visits, like indicating, I guess, that pointing your thoughts in a more positive directions does indeed elevate your health, despite how difficult that may be. Another study that shows that gratitude does affect happiness is by Martin E. Seligman, who's a professor of psychology at University of Pennsylvania. Basically, he got about 400 people to write letters to the people who had been most significant to them while growing up, and they thanked them in their letter. And after writing these, they studied the effects afterwards, and these 400 people felt much better and like much happier after writing this. Martin E. Seligman specifically is also investigating positive psychology and the effect on how positive thoughts do increase your state of well-being. Like, even if it sounds fake in your head, saying that like, oh, I'm doing well right now, or I like the weather today or something like that, it just helps refocus your mind on things rather than focusing completely on negative aspects like I really suck, or I haven't gotten X, Y, and Z done today and I'm stressed out about it. We really being happy takes a lot of time, and you need to focus your energy on doing those things. Like, everybody says think positive, but if you actually try to do it, it won't work.
Alright, not gonna do it.
What's the difference between being happy and being content?
I think if like those words in general, like I feel like happy is more of like a temporary thing, whereas content, then you've made like certain decisions in your life to be happy with what you have, and that's more of like a permanent long-term thing. I think it's very hard to maintain a constant like feeling of happiness, so I think that you would be beating yourself up if you tried to be happy all the time. But if you were content with where you are and then you work towards something even better than that, I think that would be a good place to be in your life.
Being content is sort of like what I was talking about earlier, when you aren't upset by anything. There was no like event or anything that happened to cause you to be sad or angry or whatever. You know, you might have schoolwork that you need to do or whatever, but it's nothing that seems too extreme that you won't be able to get it done. Maybe you'll have some chores to do, but it's something you do on the daily and you're not worried about it. Everything's good with your friends and your family. Being happy is sort of like having something that you're excited for, and you know, wanting to wake up every day kind of thing, like wanting to get out of bed because you know that something good will happen.
So, do you think happiness is a short-term emotion?
Yeah, for sure. I think that it's not possible to be happy every day, especially because life is so unpredictable and things will happen that will make you upset and that you can't avoid it. It's a lot more unhealthy to sort of pretend to be happy or to force yourself to not get upset over things, because you know, bottling up your emotions eventually like just leaves no outlet, which I don't think is healthy.
Happiness is, I'll redo it. Happiness is being more bubbly and being more upbeat, and then being content is being a little bit more relaxed and chill.
Is there one that you prefer over the other?
I guess I prefer content, but I can feel happy on the inside.
Content and happiness, well, I feel like being content, you wouldn't really notice it. Like being happy, you generally like have a feeling that you're, you know, happy about it. But with content, you're kind of just gliding through life. Like in the middle of the school year, you know, I might, you know, not have a lot that I'm doing, and I might, you know, just have an okay amount of work, and I'm content with that, but I'm not really happy.
So should we aim to be happy all the time?
No, I think that's kind of boring. Happiness is only one emotion. I enjoy being angry sometimes.
Being content is being at ease with everything around you. So like, okay, life's okay. I'm not dying. I guess. I don't know. But I feel like being happy is like, wow, like an example in my life, I was at like a concert and just like music was great, my friends were there, I was just having so much fun, and in that moment I was like, wow, I'm happy, like this is a great time, like I'm having fun. Like that's, I feel like being content is like you'd be sitting at home just reading the book.
I think being content is just kind of being content can kind of come in tandem with being a little more careless, for lack of a better term. You know, like if it doesn't, like when you're content, you're not happy, but you're not like sad. So just kind of going through stuff, you know, letting it come through you. Nothing's exciting. Nothing's, you know, worthy of your real effort. You know, if you're content, you're not getting what you should be at.
do you think, is it easy to be happy?
No. I guess it depends on the person, but like, I don't know. I guess you have to work to it if you're in like a rough time. Like you have to find the things that make you happy and focus on that and just not focus on the things that are horrible. Even if you're having like a horrible day, you just gotta be like, well, at least I ate a donut. That was fun, you know? Like, it's the things you like, I don't know, the way you look at things.
I think it depends on the person, because for me, I don't have a lot of trouble with that kind of stuff. Like, I can get in moods, like everyone does, but I think for me, I don't have too much trouble with it, but I'm sure there are people in more situations that think a bit differently than that. I think overall, being satisfied with what you're doing and your life, I think, can really lead to happiness. So I think with myself, I feel pretty good most times, and for other people it might not be that way. So it just depends on how you see things. If you see things that like through a lens of being more pessimistic, it's going to be hard to find. But if you can flip that, it might not be as hard.
How does one create satisfaction with their life? Because like I know a bunch of people, including myself, that like I've succeeded in a lot of things. I do well in school. I'm particularly successful, yet I'm not satisfied with it.
I guess it depends on your maybe definition of being satisfied. Like what do you think would satisfy you?
Me?
Yeah. Oof. What would you say would be satisfying? All the time.
No, I don't know. Because some days it's like I want to just do nothing.
No. I think it takes a lot of work, honestly. And sometimes it's circumstantial. If you're born into a family where you don't have as many responsibilities because you have the money, or your parents just baby you a lot and things come easier for you, it's definitely a lot easier for you to sort of be happy, at least for that short period of time. But I think, what am I talking about? What was the question?
Yeah, is it easy to be happy?
Oh, no. Okay. I think that there's just too many things in the world and in like a normal person's life that are more acceptable of causing like negative emotions than positive ones. And I think that this is gonna sound so like stupid and redundant, but like with how popular like social media and like the internet is now, I also think people make happiness a goal that seems way more unattainable than like it could be. You'll see someone who travels the world for a living or whatever, and you're like, oh, I need that to be happy, instead of sort of taking it step by step and seeing where they can get to with their own life.
Yes, it's easy to be happy because we can just put on a smile, and you can either be fake happy, real happy. It's all the same thing.
Fake happy and real happy are the same
Fake
thing.
happy and real happy are the same thing. Inside, no. But on the outside, how you like present yourself to other people as being happy, like usually like when you have a smile on your face, like that's being happy. And even if it is fake happiness on the outside, it goes on, it moves to other people, and then it makes them feel maybe actually happy.
For me, no. But I think that if you have a good mindset and you drive out the negative things in your life, it is possible to kind of maintain that.
Next question is like, is it easy to be happy? It really depends on your personality, which sucks, but we can always work towards improving our state of happiness. You constantly have to work at changing your thought process. You can't. That doesn't mean also punishing yourself when you have negative thoughts. I've read a couple self-help books over the summer, and most of them have said like when you, well, I deal mostly like with worrying and stuff like that. So when I have a worrisome thought, I have to accept it, and you can't beat yourself up constantly over feeling bad. I think you first step into being happier is accepting yourself the way you are rather than constantly fighting yourself, because then you're just arguing with another person. But I understand why it's hard to change your thought process, because our thoughts are literally like automatic. You cannot stop them from coming. That's another thing that the book kind of taught me. I forget what the name of the book is now, but oh well. We really don't have control over what we think. I think that it's a common misconception that like, oh, we're in control of our brains and stuff like that. And at some level we are, but our subconsciousness is really powerful, and it produces thoughts whether we want them to come or not. But because we do have some autonomy over who we are as a person, it's important to shift our gaze to something that makes us more happy.
Do a dance.
What do you do when you aren't sad?
Nothing. I try to stay in bed for as long as possible. I'll watch 18 YouTube videos about polar bears, like the least productive things you can think of. And that's what weighs me down, is because when I'm sad, I get nothing done, and then I'm sad because I wasn't productive, and it's just a cycle. And yeah, sure.
In a short-term sense, I have a multitude of coping mechanisms. I eat a whole giant bowl of ice cream, which is great because I enjoy getting fatter, which is lovely. I also tend to drown myself in TV shows, so I'll just watch shows over and over, especially like Friends, or like if there's a series going on at the moment, I will just watch it and become obsessed with it, so I can just ignore what's going on in my real life. I'll talk to some of my friends and, you know, kind of go on a rant about whatever is bothering me, so I can just get it out of my system. But I don't think any of those are really that healthy. But yeah, long term, lots of crying and lots of ignoring my emotions. I tend to just push them down and like try to get on with my life.
If I'm sad in public, oh my god, I'd probably like run into the bathroom or like run into a private place and then cry.
Yeah, same. Or just cry in public.
Yeah, if I cry in public, like I can't, like there can't be like anyone that I know around. Like I would cry in public here. Like I don't know anyone here.
Yeah.
For me, I know that sometimes like my hormones or just like a lot of like chemical things in my brain causes me to be upset. So I don't always have a lot of control over that. It's not just like I can think positive and it'll go away. So for me personally, I like being organized all the time. So like cleaning or some sort of like reorganization of something that always puts me in a better mood. But that's kind of a weird example.
No, actually that makes sense. Basically there's this book called The Project Happiness. I don't know if you've read that. But she says like, the author, it's good for you to clean up physically and mentally, like in your brain, like your to-do list or whatever, because it's getting rid of clutter, and like the more clutter we have, the more we think about it, and like the more it takes to just like deal with it.
A clean room is more of a clear mind for me.
Yeah.
That just kind of helps me out.
Okay. What do you do when you are sad? If you get sad?
Of course.
Lily makes a joke. She's like, Dylan's never upset.
What do I do when I get upset? I feel like there's a difference between me being like upset personally as me being upset and being like maybe I've been like annoyed and like angry with like, you know, my friends. But as far as upset,
When was the last time you were sad?
sad.
When was the last time you cried?
Oh no, I haven't cried in like years.
Don't you think that's like unhealthy? You're bottling up all that emotion.
I think I get it out on other things.
Like what?
Listening to music, making music, you know, hanging out with people, doing stuff, you know. I don't really have a lot of pent up emotion.
I wonder what that's.
I don't have like I guess I'm not like emotionless, obviously, but I mean I'm pretty chill most of the time, so that's more like what I lean to. So I take most bad things with a thought of, you know, they can't be like this forever, you know.
I wanted to go into a little bit more about the scientific side about why negative emotions are sometimes more persistent than happy ones. And this is mainly due to the fact that when you have something bad happen to you that makes you upset or angry, this often takes us longer for our brains to process it. So literally, the memory neurons in our brain, every time we think about the event, it's making more connections to each other, making it stick longer in our long-term memory source. So with a happy memory, because our brain believes that it doesn't need to be processed and thought about as much, we make less connections, and the less connections we have to the long-term memory means that it's harder to remember. Sadly, like if you are overall a negative person, this means it's a little bit harder to get rid of these negative persistent thoughts. But I think, well, for me, from experience, like you, I don't know how to explain this. Changing your focus takes a lot of energy, and you have to constantly work at it, but over time, I think it does get better. And explaining that to some people who are in a negative state is really difficult because people obviously want instant gratification, and it's, I don't know, people who are sad for a long time especially kind of deserve the instant gratification, but happiness I think just doesn't work like that.
Hello, documentary people.
Last question. What are you going to do to make yourself happier?
I think that I will try to surround myself with positive things and people, and keep working on my therapy and medication extravaganza. And then I think I will work hard in school, and I think that will lead me to feeling more accomplished, and the more accomplished I feel, I think the happier I'll be.
I guess I would try to rely less on other people's opinions on me, because I feel like that is something that definitely brings down my happiness the most out of everything. It's just because I care so much about what other people think of me. But if I can do that less, I'd probably be more happy.
What are you gonna do to make yourself happier in the future? With
I'm just gonna dance my problems away. I really need to learn to stop procrastinating, because that's something that I explained earlier causes a cycle of like being really upset for me. And I think just being nicer to others so you can get that in return is something that is really important for being happy and something that I need to work on. And I don't know, just trying to live my best life.
Probably go to therapy.
A good one.
Oh,
Yes.
also, okay, I'll say my other one. To smile a lot, even if I don't feel on the inside, feel on the outside, and then make everybody else around me feel happier.
Try to like manage myself more, like try to get things in an organized way, like that I can like know I need to get this done then and when, and like I procrastinate a lot, which contributes to unhappiness to you know, personally, but I feel I need to get organized and like get things done despite having the intelligence to do so. I just don't for some reason.
Good. All right, hold on.
I'm gonna do it again. Okay. So, to conclude about my feelings with happiness, I didn't really know what made me happy for a long time. And I thought it took a really grandiose thing to make me happier. But as it turns out, I realized that being happy can be quite simple. I'm grateful for what I have now, and it's made me a lot happier than I've really ever been, and I hope it continues to stay that way. The work that I put in to improving my mental state, I think, helped me realize that once I've gotten rid of the negative elements in my life, it's a lot easier to find happiness. And to sort of explain again about why I'm making this video, I really wanted to show to people, especially like teenagers, that happiness isn't impossible. It's not, like, it may seem hard to achieve it, but it's really, like, it's not as hard as it seems, I guess. Happiness is a constant state of progress, and you can't give up for working towards it, because you can always be happier, you can always be better, but all at the same time you have to realize that it can always also be worse. You have control over your own actions, and therefore you have control over your own happiness. So thanks for watching. I hope you liked it. Bye.
Good. Woo.
Alright, thank you.
Yeah.
Morning. Never thought I'd see the light again. I got something I can see again. I think I can finally breathe again. I've got something to believe in. I can finally see the end. Morning, morning. Never thought I would be here again.
Maybe
Now I feel like I should leave again.
It's all in your head.
It's okay, they're only feelings. I feel like I can feel again.
All right. Thank you, Lane.
I can finally
Even though we had to do it twice.